the Jacksonville Jaguars right here, and we are not so high on them, especially Dante, the Jaguars,
the local Jaguars fan. Yes,
Tony and John are
I hear the comments.
Biased. Whew, yeah, this one could spark a lot of debate, especially if we bring up a certain quarterback. The ECG record is 7-10, third in the division. I'll kick us off on this one since I'm a little lower on them. I have them going 6-11. They brought in Gabe Davis from Buffalo. They brought in Brian Thomas Jr. out of the draft. They also signed Devin Duvernay, who is a solid receiver and even better return man from Baltimore. And they drafted Keelan Robinson out of Texas as a rotational running back. They signed Ron Darby and Darnell Savage. You see the excitement level kind of going down there because just looking at their roster on defense as they get to the secondary, it really worries me outside of Tyson Campbell. This defense, I like their linebackers and Devin Lloyd and 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗶𝗲𝘀𝗀. The defensive line, Trayvon Walker, maybe he takes another step up. Eric Armstead, Josh Hines-Allen. The defense is all right. And then on the offensive side of the ball, my primary knock on them was that they're extremely inefficient running the ball. And then their passing game was middle of the pack in terms of efficiency as well. They didn't do the most with what they were given. And I'm worried about this team in general because they have a tough schedule. They play Houston twice, Miami and Buffalo on the road. They play Green Bay, Philadelphia, Detroit, the Jets, Indianapolis twice. And then we just talked about them and how they could be solid. They also play Cleveland. They need to be more efficient on offense. And then that secondary, again, worries me. Ron Darby is all right. Antonio Johnson out of –
you could say it. He's trash.
Look, he was trash when he was in Philadelphia. Antonio Johnson.
Pipe down.
No. That boy's ass.
Antonio Johnson, right? You don't really know what you have in him. He was a late round draft pick. You're hoping to see good things from him. Andre Cisco and Darnell Savage. Green Bay didn't keep him. But Tyson Campbell had a sneaky good year last year despite having one of the worst passing defenses in the league in Jacksonville. To me, this isn't a 6-11 roster. I think they're closer to an 8, maybe even 9-win roster like they had last year. But it's a 6-11 team with the schedule they have. Like they're going to go through the ringer this year in terms of who they play, and they're going to play some filthy passing offenses. And again, that was their struggle this year, was defending the pass. If they can't improve there, which their roster tells me, that gives me no indication that they will improve, I just don't think that they're going to have a good season. I know that they were, right around 500 last year, but I'm just sensing regression and heavy regression for this team. Sure, they gave Trevor Lawrence more options on offense with Gabe Davis and Brian Thomas, and Evan Ingram's coming off a career year, right? You sign Mitch Morse at center. You make good moves on offense, but it's the defense that worries me, and they weren't efficient on offense to begin with. So it's like, even in the running game with Travis Etienne. So I really am worried about this team. And, they signed, we've talked about this a lot. They signed Trevor Lawrence to a massive contract. It's going to be even harder to build a good roster around him. How are you going to invest in the defense if you have a quarterback who's eating up that much cap space, right? You just signed
highest paid quarterback.
Yeah, like a fat contract, right? We know Christian Kirk was on a big contract, whether he deserves it or not, right? He got paid, right? You paid Gabe Davis to come in. You've invested a lot of money in the offensive line, right? You signed Eric Armstead, 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝘀𝗀𝗀. I don't like the Jaguars' future outlook because they're going to have to either hit on a lot of free agent signings and draft picks on defense, or they're going to have to blow this up and move on from Trevor Lawrence and that gaudy contract of his. I'm not a fan of where the Jaguars are headed. Even if I like some of the individual players, like I like Brian Thomas Jr. out of the draft. I like Devin Duvernay and Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram. It's just altogether, given the financial situation, Jacksonville is just not my cup of tea going forward.
I will say
go ahead. Never mind.
I will say the biggest question mark, without a shadow of a doubt, on this team is Trevor Lawrence worthy of a contract that big, just based on what he genuinely is the most average quarterback in the NFL. If he was on any other team, like there's a few teams that I can tell you for sure that he would be a backup no matter what. But can he prove that he has earned that kind of money, and can he bring this team to the promised land? Like the only other player that I really, besides the entire defensive line that I love, the only other player on the offensive side of the ball that I really love is Travis Etienne. But all the receivers and tight ends that they have were a second or third option on other teams in the NFL put together to try to put a good wide receiver unit together. They all have good features, but can some of them be a number one? I don't think Christian Kirk is a number one receiver in the National Football League. I genuinely don't. I don't think Evan Ingram now is the same tight end that he was a few years ago with the Giants. Trevor Lawrence has to step over that line.
Whoa. Let's slow the horses here.
Eye in the sky.
I don't know about that. Evan Ingram.
Evan Ingram has had two amazing years.
Evan Ingram has had his best years as a Jacksonville Jaguar.
I still don't think he's that guy.
Man said eye in the sky.
A lot of people have him outside of his top 5, but I feel like you can argue that. But
it's an arguable point, and I agree. I think the best signing they had this offseason was 𝗕𝗂𝘂𝗀𝗂𝗀𝗀 from San Francisco. On the defensive line, he's going to be the best thing they got going on. Josh, I'm not going to get used to saying this. Josh Hines-Allen, he is one of the best rushers in the league, period.
What's happening right now?
What do you mean?
Now my headphones are just glitching up. I'm having all sorts of audio problems right now.
This dude talks to himself when he's live.
I was so confused.
He doesn't know how to use the mute button that well. We're still teaching him.
But listen, the big thing is Trevor Lawrence. Can he do it? In my opinion, that's the only reason I have him 9-8, because I'm so unsure that I couldn't. There's no way of putting him 500, so I put him 9-8. Are you good over there, bro?
Am I good? Am I good to talk now? I'm muting myself.
We can hear
Am I good to talk now? Okay. No, I was asking if I'm good to talk now. I muted myself. Yeah, I mean, listen, this cat's already been beaten dead by now. I mean, let's just look at the positives on the defense. You got Josh Hines-Allen right now, Devin Lloyd, Eric Armstead. That was a good addition, but Khalid, you said earlier, you got to be hoping with Trayvon Walker that he could take another step. This dude had the greatest combine known to man and jumped up to be the number 1 draft pick. I'm going to tell you right now, you would not have had all these problems if you drafted who you should have drafted in 𝗕𝘂𝘂𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀
Amen.
That dude should have been the consensus number 1 draft pick.
How did you mess up that bad?
Well, I'll tell you what because Shad Khan and friends, they care about butts in seats. That's really what they care about. You got the new rebuild of the stadium. You've got you've got him still being a part of wrestling. That dude cares about putting butts in seats. It's the same thing that I've said about Washington, where you've got multiple owners who have multiple, hands in multiple cookie jars of basically different types of sports. They're not committed to just the one franchise of Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. And that right there is why you got the Trevor Lawrence contract. We're rewarding mediocrity. He's the golden wonder, the golden boy. Best thing since sliced bread. Best thing since Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck, blah, 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 blah. We're rewarding mediocrity. Because people don't want to mention of how Travis Etienne got scoliosis in the second half of that playoff game because he fucking carried that offense. Christian Kirk broke the wide receiver market in free agency. Brian Thomas Jr., there were more pressing needs than wide receiver. Gabe Davis, that was a good, listen, they're good additions, but this is to put butts in seats, and it's not going to work well. You look at the offensive line that they made of bringing in 𝙎𝙤𝙘𝗀𝗀𝗀. You can ask any Minnesota fan in our chat right now.
Cleveland.
Boy, it was not that good. Ezra Cleveland, thank you. Anton Harrison, there were better picks out there that year before. You have had so many draft picks and so many big splashes in free agency for no good reason.
Do we need to go on my soapbox just for 2.5 seconds as a Jaguars fan here? Yes, if you know me, this is Dante, and I'm speaking for the Jaguars. The offensive line is trash. Why do we keep Cam Robinson? Jawan Taylor went to the Chiefs and won a Super Bowl.
And was the better tackle.
And was the better offensive lineman before we even gave Cam Robinson his extension, and then he proceeded to get busted for PEDs and miss games last year. So stupid. And then we didn't address after losing people in the defensive backs. Like, I'm absolutely disgusted. We keep trying to cater to Trevor Lawrence with mediocre wide receivers. I like Christian Kirk, but it's crazy how our best two weapons are Evan Ingram and Travis Etienne. We got to get better. Thank you. That's my TED talk for today.
Wow.
There's not much to say about this. I predicted the record correctly with 8-9. I'm going for 2 years of predicting their record correctly with 7-10. Listen, with the way that the Texans are now, with the Colts potentially being on the rise, depending on how Anthony Richardson does, and who knows how Will Levis, the infamous Mayo Man himself, is going to look at Tennessee. Jacksonville got to figure this shit out quickly, because it's not going to get pretty.
Or Mayo Man's coming after you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Dana. I get statistics wise, like how he looks. People are like, Brian Thomas Jr. is awesome, but I have not been impressed. When I see people like Jermaine Burton just absolutely cook people this whole preseason.
And also another thing, why sign Devin Duvernay when you had Jamal Agnew?
Why did we just let him walk? It's crazy.
Like, that was hey, can we get Jamal Agnew? No, we got Jamal Agnew at home. There was no point. Just don't let him walk then.
And Brian Thomas only has 2 catches so far. And that one long catch that he caught was from C.J. Beathard against like pretty much the third team defense. Yeah, I don't know. That's my TED talk. Sorry.
Dylan is right. This is the longest 2.5 seconds. The cat has been given to the buffet. It's done. We're moving on.
Yep. Jacksonville's not going to be good. We have met 7-10. We're going to move on.
I can already hear all the comments right now. Click, clack, clack, click, 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 clack.
Yep.
And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and ring the bell notification so you're always notified.
All right. Well, the 12th. Oh my god. That's what I'm saying. At this point, like, bro, you just gotta just be you, bro. Just be you, bro.